Hello students, welcome back to my class. Today we are going to study David Malouf's poem The Revolving Days. David George Joseph Malouf, who is an Australian writer of great repute, writes novels, short stories, plays, as well as composes poetry. He is considered as one of Australia's greatest writers and who has been awarded with Neustadt International Prize for Literature in 2000 and International Dublin Literary Award in 1996 and inaugural Australia Asia Literary Award in 2008, besides being shortlisted for Booker Prize and also received many other awards in his life. And as a poet, we found Malouf as an artist who draws vital energy from his totemic places, whose resonance in his poetry is unmistakable. He is a poet who is very closely associated and represents his surrounding, and both mindscape and landscape we find in his poetry merged with a sublime lightness of touch. And he is not only awake to the minutes of his surroundings, but also it colors and transforms his imagination. So to read his poems is just like traveling often mysteriously through space and time. And today's poem that we are going to discuss, that is Revolving Days. It was initially included in the anthology Typewriter Music in 2007, and in 2008 it became the title song of another anthology. And in this poem the poet explores the themes of relationship, the past and the memory, or we can say love, memory and transformation. And his speaker addresses his ex-lover, expressing his lasting emotions and depicting the revolving days of his life and role as a lover. But here, the mood is resigned and contemplative, which we can compare with the poem of Pablo Neruda, that is, tonight I can write the saddest lines, where Neruda also brings out a similar mindset, a similar emotion, where he says that though this be the last pain that she makes me suffer, and these the last verses that I write for her. So Revolving Days is having many similarities with Pablo Neruda's Tonight I Can Write, but they are different in their approach. So here in the poem we find that the title comes from the final stanza, and the phrase depicts his nature and feelings. And the poem is having a structure of 3 stanzas of uneven sets of lines. The first stanza is constituting of 10 lines. The second stanza is of 7 lines, and the third is of only 6 lines. And the poem is having no specific rhyme scheme or metrical pattern, but The lyricality is created by repetitions, alliteration, anaphora, enjambment, and caesura, beside apostrophe, where the person about whom the poet is talking is absent. So let us go to the poem. That year I had nowhere to go, I fell in love, a mistake. Of course, but it lasted and has lasted. So the poet is confessing, the speaker is confessing that year, that particular year, when he had fallen in love, because I had nowhere to go. So the consequence of the love, falling in love, is the consequence of isolation, idleness. There was nothing to do on his part. He had nowhere to go, so he fell in love, and immediately he is bringing out the expression, a mistake. That falling in love is a mistake on his part, but it lasted and has lasted. But the poet is further confessing that mistake, though, but it lingered. It is still lingering. It lasted and has lasted. The old tug at the heart, the grace unasked for, urgencies that boom under the pocket of his heart. And the poet is being very specific about his feelings, about his experiences of that falling in love. The old tug at the heart, after a long time, from that particular time, even now, he is feeling that tug at the heart. Or the grace unasked for, and he is comparing the love with a grace, a state of grace, a state of blessings, a bliss, but that is unasked for, the grace which has no value for him at present. Because love is itself an involuntary experience, involuntary action. So the grace unasked for, urgencies that boom under the pocket of his heart. And pocket of his heart, which is at the left part where the heart is there. So he is describing the heartbeat as the booming under the pocket of his heart. What I remember is the color of the shorts, but he's telling he doesn't remember anymore about those experiences, those mysterious, those strange experiences of the love. Rather, he remembers only of that particular time when he had collected a good number of shorts. What I remember is the color of the shorts. The color of the shorts, I had bought them as an experiment in ways of seeing myself. And he's narrating that he bought shorts of many colors only to experiment with himself, that how he looks in those different colored shorts as a lover. As a lover, how he is donning different colors and which color is most appropriate to be a lover. Hoping to catch in window as I passed what I was to be in my new life as lover. And with his different new shorts as a lover, he looks at the windows on the street, his reflections, hoping to catch in a window as I passed what I was to be in my new life as lover. So his new life as lover, he's making the difference between his life before falling in love and after falling in love, that how it was a state of bliss, it was a state of excitement on his part, and he wanted to see himself as a lover in different colored shirts. One mint green, one pink, the third called ivy leaf, tan with darker stripes, my fast button down collar. And he is giving a very graphic description of his shirts. One mint green, one pink colored, the third one is ivy leaf, tan with darker stripes, and my fast button down collar. Button down collar is a specific arrangement in the shirt which was introduced in the last part of 19th century, and it was a fashionable attire for the polo players, particularly the sports persons, till the middle of 20th century, and after that it became a very common fashion. The buttons at the end of the collars, bringing the collar to the shirt. So in this way he had tried to appreciate himself as a lover. That means he is trying to tell himself that how as a lover he has changed from an ordinary, normal young man into a young man of fashion, a fashionable young man he became by falling in love. We never write, but sometimes knotting my tie at a mirror, one of those selves I had expected steps into the room. And in the second stanza, he is telling that we never write. We don't write to each other. As lovers, they were not very much filled with emotion to write letters, which is a very normal expression of love, that the lovers, they often try to express themselves through a lot of writing. But he is telling, we never write. But sometimes, knotting my tie at a mirror, one of those selves I had expected steps into the room. But sometimes, probably, his beloved had adjusted his tie, or he adjusted his tie in the mirror. But at the same time, he was expecting that someone will step into the room. And here we find the echo of T.S. Eliot's love song of J. Alfred Prufrock, where Prufrock as a lover is obliquely suggesting that in the rooms the women come and go, talking of Michelangelo. That means it is suggesting the physical intimacy. So here also the poet as a lover was expecting some physical intimacy that is being hinted here. I had expected steps into the room. In the next room you are waiting. We have not yet taken back the life we promised to pour into each other's mouths forever and forever. But now, at the present time, he is thinking that in the next room you are waiting. I am in a different room and you are in a different room. That means the distance has come between them. They are no more the lovers. And we have not yet taken back the life we promised to pour into each other's mouths forever and forever. And he is suggesting that we have not yet taken back, though formally we have not been separated in our love. There is no declaration that we have ceased to be lovers. Life we promise to pour into each other's mouths forever and forever. That is, pouring into the mouth is the suggestiveness of intimacy, that forever and forever, that we have not taken back. Still, we are in the relationship, though we have not met for a long time, and in another room you may be waiting for someone else. While I choose between changes to surprise you, and while I choose between changes to surprise you, Still, I want to make you surprised by the changes of my attire, the color of my shirt. But here, with the color of the shirt now at present, the changes in his approach to love and the changes in their relationship. That once upon a time they were in love, but now they have fallen out of it, though their promises have not been changed. Then in the final stanza, at the very beginning, he is bringing out the title which has become the title of the poem, that is Revolving Days, and he is suggesting why these changes, because the days have revolved. My heart in my mouth again, my heart is again in my mouth. Why? Because he couldn't realize that how they have fallen out, and still he feels those pangs of love even though they are now away from each other in their space and mind. But still there is some longing somewhere, still there is some desire somewhere to belong. I am writing this for you wherever you are. So he's telling, I am writing this for you, I am composing this poem for you wherever you are, whoever is staring into your blue eyes. And he is highlighting the blue eyes of his earlier beloved, and he is telling, whoever may be with you, you may be in love with someone else, and who is staring into your blue eyes, it is me, I am still here. But through that person, through that new lover, you can feel that I am there, or I feel as if I am there. Through that person, even I am looking into your blue eyes. That means even now the poet is having that feeling of viewing those depthless blue eyes of his beloved through the new lover who is a stranger to him. I am still here. No, don't worry. I won't appear out of that old time to discomfort you. But at the same time, he is comforting, he is assuring the beloved, no, he is not going to appear once again to bring discomfort to her. So I won't appear out of that old time. I belong to the old time and I remain there with the old time. I won't reappear. That assurance I am giving you. And no, at this distance, I am not holding my breath for a reply. And we are at a distance, which is the distance of our mind and heart. I am not holding my breath for a reply. I am not breathlessly waiting for your reply. And this final line is bringing the reflection of Robert Browning's poem, The Last Ride Together, where the lover is waiting breathlessly for the reply of the beloved when he had suggested for the last ride, and finally he saw the consent. But here the poet is telling, I am not holding my breath for a reply, I am not waiting for your reply, because I know we are away from each other, but still the essence of the love is continuing. So in this way, the poem is bringing out the love, its memory, and how it has also transformed to another state of existence where the love is not there, but the essence of the love is still felt by the lover. So in the first part, he remembers the time when he has fallen in love, and though it was a mistake, but the effect is long lasting, and it involves or it revolves or transforms into some lasting sense. Love has changed him, but he hasn't changed. She has changed since the emotions are vivid, clear, and vibrant. And in the second part, the lover experiences love as a complicated experience. It lasted, but not as he expected. The past haunts him, and he recalls the time they spent together and their promises. And in the final part, we find the use of the phrase revolving days to depict the nature of his heart and memory. He discovers his unchanged emotions in spite of changes in time, space, and relationship. He doesn't want to disturb the evolution, but the poem is a self-declaration or a confession. And from this poem, we find that Malouf is a pure artist who doesn't believe in representation but art as a kind of necessity. It provides the language of feeling to people who don't have it themselves. So this is the poem, and from this poem we can have questions like consider Revolving Days as a poem where love is presented as an instrument of self-reflection. Or the question can be asked like this: what is the mistake committed by the speaker in Revolving Days? Why he calls it a mistake, and how he appropriates that mistake? So in this way questions can be asked, and I hope you people will do justice to the poem in answering the questions properly. Thank you.